Hi friends, Right Careers welcomes you to another brand new video for this week. This is Sudarshan, your career coach. Now, before we get on to this topic, the customary thing, and thank you for so much for subscribing to my channel for all the subscribers. And in case you haven't, do subscribe and also click on the bell button for all instant notifications. Right, this week's topic is very important from the current situation that we all are exposed to, be it in India or outside India. The novel coronavirus has already impacted a lot of us, and I'm sure, in fact, I'm very sure that people who are watching this video, would have been a receiver or carrier of coronavirus, or either you or your family or friends or relatives or whoever it is must have experienced some kind of impact when it comes to COVID or coronavirus, whatever it is. The third wave, especially the wave that we are currently, it's also called as Omicron or whatever it is, has also, been spreading like the way we didn't expect it to, right? And India as such is witnessing a huge upswing when it comes to cases of Omicron, especially over the last fortnight. You see wherever you see, whomever you call, whomever you speak to, they or their family members, somebody is affected. But what is more disturbing in this Omicron is even children are kind of exposed to Omicron. The first wave or the second wave, the children weren't that much impacted, or the virus didn't hit the children like the way it is hitting now, which means children have also started to test positive. Many children whom I know are affected by this third wave. But the good news is the fatality rate of Omicron is relatively lesser, or very less, when you compare with the Delta variant or the COVID-19 variant. What we shouldn't be doing is to become complacent or become overconfident and think that the fatality rate is less. While data suggests that the fatality rate is less, what can also happen is that your children, whomever getting tested positive, might become a carrier as well, carrier to others in the family. So you got to be very careful. And that's why I thought, as a responsible YouTuber, we need to make an exclusive video on how to react as a parent. How do you actually react, or what are the things or top 5 things that you have to do when you find your child tested positive? If your child tests positive, how as a parent that you have to react is going to be the topic. These are not my own thoughts. I also need to tell that these are definitely not my own thoughts. These are well researched. These topics or whatever suggestions that we are going to make is definitely a researched one, and also spoken with various eminent psychologists and child psychologists, and the culmination of this is what we are going to see in the next few minutes. So the first thing, or the first step as a parent that you need to do, is never ever display your anxiety to children. That's the first thing that you have to do. See, there is no doubt when your child is affected by COVID, or when your child is tested positive, it's a cause of concern. There is no doubt. However, the moment you start pressing panic button, or the moment you start reacting, oh, my child is affected with COVID, what do I do? And if you show it your anxiety, or if you press the panic button to your children, it will have a very negative impact on your children. So that's something which you should definitely avoid. Yes, it is a cause of concern, but you cannot show it off, especially to the children who got affected. And as a parent, what you need to do, you need to talk to them, you need to talk to the child about this pandemic, and make them, make sure that this pandemic is a very temporary phase in a child, and this will pass away. So these are some of the pep talks. Also, you need to do some pep talk, and therefore stop showing your anxiety level and your panic level to your child. So that's the first suggestion that I thought as a parent you can do. The second suggestion, from a parental perspective, when it comes to reacting after your child tests positive, is give them that ownership. It's very important that the child gets that ownership. If a child is under home isolation, for example, if a child is under home isolation, give them adequate nutrition and hydration as prescribed by the doctors. Educate them about the COVID protocols, which I'm sure they are already aware, because the last 2 years they've seen all those protocols being followed by elders, but it's time for them to follow religiously and rigorously. So you got to educate them about the customary protocols, allow them to follow the protocol on their own, and give them that space, give them that ownership, so that they also get conscious and they fight against it mentally. So that's the second tip I thought I can share. The third important suggestion or tip for a parent, from a parent's perspective, is as a parent, you got to keep them engaged, keep your children highly engaged. Now, if the child is asymptomatic, right, and has online classes, online schools, or online classes other than schools, don't stop it. Let it continue so that the child feels completely at home. Even yes, we know that the child is tested positive, but the child is not asymptomatic. Let it continue to do the usual routine things sitting at home online. Don't stop it. Keep the children engaged with lot of activities. Make them play online games. Make them, this is a time. It's okay. You can relax on your rules and then, let them be engaged. If there are some hobbies like drawing or painting or whatever it is, if they have some unknown desires with them, let them pursue. So the bottom line I'm trying to say is keep them as engaged as they can from a parental perspective. The fourth tip that I thought I should definitely give is, from a parental perspective, you got to be a very good listener now. Now, more than ever, you got to listen to your children now. This is the time for you to listen to children, because like elders, children also has feelings, right? They will also have some kind of feelings. Now this is the time where you start not only lending ears to those feelings but also respect that feeling. So the moment you do that, a child gets confidence naturally. With subconsciously, a child will become much more confident. If a child is experiencing palpitations or extreme fear, don't ignore it. Consult your doctor immediately, right? And instead, you also need to acknowledge the situation. You need to tell, yes, you have been affected, tested positive, but there is nothing to worry. People have come out successfully, and let the child vent it out. It's very important that you make the child speak and you listen. This is the time as a parent for you to listen. And finally, what I thought you should definitely do is bring a good, fresh air into the room where if the child is under isolation. If the child is under isolation, if there is a situation that a child has to be isolated separately, don't dump into a dark room where there is no light or something like that. It cannot be a gloomy room, right? You got to bring a lot of fresh air to that room, bring positive vibes and energy, ensure that the room is not so gloomy in nature. Now, these are some of the tips, but having said that, in a child, you see a lot of behavioral pattern and some kind of anxiety changes which you might still experience if a child tests positive. For example, the trend in the last 2 years shows that the behavioral pattern has changed, or actually it has heightened the anxiety, especially with children. I'll tell you an example. I know a boy was aged 15 years, age 15 years, suddenly started bedwetting at home, and he got thrashed by his parents for no reasons because he's 15 and he got bedwetted. Now, if you deep dive, and what happened was it started becoming a habit. And when the same child was taken to a doctor, the doctor spoke, or counselor rather, the counselor spoke to the child and understood that the child had some kind of anxiety related things, especially when it comes to COVID, because the child's friend, the boy's friend's father happened to experience COVID, and he had a very, very tough time. And that experience was shared by his friend to this boy. And therefore, this boy had nightmares and bad dreams when he slept and started bedwetting. So this is the actual reason. So, you got to listen to the child. That's what I said. So don't thrash children when you see some abnormal behavioral changes, especially that arises due to pandemic. So please understand that these changes are not only due to age related thing, but also it could be, due to pandemic. It could be due to being at home, staying indoors for a long time. These are not the age for them to stay long indoors, right? So there are some behavioral changes. I think the best way is parents getting engaged with children. Terrace activity is perhaps the best engagement, where you can take them to the terrace at your house, and which I'm sure most of the parents are doing for the last 1.5, 2 years. So when you see such changes, you got to talk to them. Now, the most important aspect in this is the don't part. When your child gets tested, what you shouldn't do, it's also something I have to tell. Don't Google, first of all. Don't Google about, what can I do when a child tests positive. Don't self-medicate yourself and become a doctor like the way most of us do. So never do that. Seek medical practitioners' advice. It is very important that we can't take the, health of a child very easily. I'm sure as a parent you don't. But more importantly, amidst all these things, one final piece of advice I thought I should say for you as a parent is, you got to take care of your health. It's very, very important, because when a child gets tested positive, it affects you mentally, it affects you physically also. So this is the time where you as a parent also need to take care. Yes, you might feel helpless at times because of the testing, because a child testing positive, you might feel helpless, but don't get bogged away, because when you are down, it also means that it gets negative impact in the child, right? So take care of yourself, and that's all I have for this week. And until next week with another brand new video, stay safe. Have a great week ahead. Thank you so much.